All right, hello and welcome to another Expert Inside interview. My name is John Golden from Sales Pop, online sales magazine, and Pipeliner CRM, joining you as usual from San Diego. And today I'm delighted to be joined by Titus Jumper, who's just up the road and in a bit and to the east in Chino in California, just outside Los Angeles. How you doing, Titus?
I'm doing well, John. Thank you for asking. How about yourself?
Yeah, doing really well, doing really well. Titus, in addition to you have a lot of business ventures. You also have a not-for-profit called Homes for Promise, a faith-based recovery home for men. And as we said, you live up in Chino, California. And what you like to do is connecting with customers on a deeper level, so helping them, use sales and brand development, understanding audience needs, and all of that to have better problem solving conversations. And what we wanted to talk about today is it's a very interesting thing where I got some information about this interview, and it really kind of jumped out at me was about chatbots and how chatbots, back in the whatever 2010, 2011, were, everybody was like, oh, chatbots. And you have it here, Gartner predicted by 2020 chatbots will manage 85% of relationships, and so interacting with customers, and they say it hit the infamous trough of disillusionment in Gartner's hype cycle, or as I will put it, everybody came to hate chatbots, and even the word chatbot, because it delivered an awful experience. But now we have AI, we've generative AI, we have natural language querying and programming and that processing. And so now it's changing, and now with intelligent agents. So tell me, where are we today in comparison to the hype or so-called promise of chatbots, you know, 10, 15 years ago?
Well, with the advent of machine learning and natural language processing alongside of generative I think we're universes away there, John. I integrated chatbots because the idea of chatbot is that automation to help with
Yeah.
cost and scalability. So, and the problem is real in the customer service world alongside of the sales world is the first questions you have usually as a business is you're asking about scalability and costs.
Yeah.
So the chatbot could have, or the disillusionment or the illusion was that they were going to be able to fix the scalability and the cost to be able to create a better experience. But in reality, it didn't have the technology to be able to actually, bring it to fruition.
Hmm. And so now that we have generative AI, we have NLP, and we have machine learning. Where have you seen some really good applications of this? Because there is a danger still that people don't understand it fully, don't deploy it properly, don't understand the difference between using internal databases as opposed to going out, etc.
Yeah, the dangers are mostly security, I would say, and then also on how you integrate and implement AI. Obviously, most of the time I've noticed is that there's a lot of hesitation to really take advantage and jump alongside when it comes to the corporate level, is because you really have to rethink the way you're doing business from the top down. If you're willing to transform your own company first and use AI, it's going to be able to lift you to greater heights, because really what it does is it leverages the human capacity, and puts a 10, 20, 30, 40x on it.
Hmm.
We've done that here at Sales Hub. We kind of figured we'd lead the way, and we rebuilt everything, including our internal dashboards, reporting tools, the way we're reaching out to customers, the way we're returning and following up. But yeah, I would definitely say the dangers are coming along is how is the data being held on the back end, because that's still not fully known and fully understood. So just to make sure you're integrating with companies that take that very seriously are going to be important, because
Yeah.
it's the barrier to entry for a lot of these AI services is fairly low. If you are
Mhm.
fairly familiar with prompting, you can kind of pull off a semi-okay looking product on the front end
Mhm.
because it's leveraging like OpenAI or Gemini or something like that. But in reality, you really want to look for a little bit bigger, a little bit more robust solution to be able to
Right.
protect yourself in the long run.
Yeah, and obviously, if you're going to use if you're going to use AI with your own internal databases or whatever, the data quality becomes a big issue, right? Because, and let's face it, how many organizations, regardless of size, even for the biggest, how many have really clean data?
Honestly, that
Yeah.
is a weekly call that I'm having right now. Clean data is a difficult thing, and to me, as a sales guy, I'm
Mhm.
confused sometimes because I grew up in little Excel sheets and I was managing them myself. And as my companies grew, obviously the data sets grew alongside with it. But yet, taking data very seriously and data organization, because AI is really good if you present the data in the right way. So
Yeah.
we actually have most of our investment, I'd probably say upwards of 60% right now, in that data infrastructure, the data warehousing, to make sure the data is presentable and easily understood by the AI.
Yeah, and I think that's going to be a big challenge, as I said, for organizations, because they've gotten away for too long with kind of messy data, and it's I mean, I know companies that spend, I don't know, 4 times a year they have some people come in, consultants come in to clean their data, which and pay ridiculous amounts of money for it. So yeah, that's going to be a big challenge. But so where have you seen some really good early implementations of this, and where do you see it going? Like to where you're going to have virtual assistants that can really interact with a prospect or a customer and really learn about their behavior and add value to the interaction, as opposed to just in the old days just serving up some content.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to be a little biased on my
Sure.
response on this one, but
You go
I
ahead.
think Sales Hub, the company I own, integrating Jovi AI, which is the AI built by Sales Hub, has been one of the best use cases that I've personally seen and the best utilizations of it and being deployed directly into the marketplace. We were able to transform a fairly large, fairly expensive contact center and cost optimize it and taking like agents out. We were doing hundreds of thousands of calls every single day.
Hmm.
Uh, and we were able to take the mundane out of these calls, adding AI into the front end of the calls, and taking these agents into more of a supervisor level
Right.
and managing the AI in the back end. We call it our human in the loop feature, that the agents can manage many calls all at once and be able to handle the higher functioning tasks. Because Jovi or AI in general sometimes still has a difficult time fully understanding like the human interaction, or the human experience.
Hmm.
Obviously, it's a machine, but it does pretty good. It's gotten a lot better even in the last couple of months with these different releases. But that's kind of like what we've done. We've been able to take an agent from handling obviously one call at a time to 10 calls at a time. And now it's getting close to 100 calls all at the same time for the agent to be able to handle the high, most important tasks. We've also seen the experience on the agent level, and their whole work experience actually get better and increase, since we're really good at solving problems. Most
Yeah.
people enjoy that solving problems in their work, instead of just answering the same question 10 times a day or 10 times an hour. So we've actually seen a better work experience through these agents as well.
Yeah, and I think that's a really, I think it's a really important point to underline there, because, I mean, my belief is that as AI, as it develops like this, that the people who really want to focus on high value activities, who want to bring the creativity to the situation, that human element, are going to thrive. Whereas I think it's going to wipe out a lot of kind of the people who kind of dialed it in, or the mediocre level. And I don't mean that in a pejorative way. I'm just saying, like, they're, the ones who maybe were not bringing that level of creativity, are just doing the rote and routine work. That's going to get taken away. So I think part of it is, if you want to secure your future, is to really kind of up your game a little bit.
Absolutely. I mean, I've said that every single time we talk about AI. I believe AI can elevate the human experience, specifically in work. I mean, that's what's happened many times through history when technology makes massive advancements in a short amount of time. The people that take advantage of those advancements always end up top, on
Yeah.
top and in a better place. I mean, there's always people that get left behind. That's sad, but true.
Hmm.
And there's always people that jump in the forefront to make things happen. And then there's a bunch of them in the middle, right?
Yeah.
Just like all of these, with the .com, everybody thought that was going to be the end all be all, and it just ended up transforming the workplace,
Yes.
not replacing it. And that's what everybody fears that AI could do, is replace the workforce, replace the workplace. Even the top minds like Elon Musk is saying that potentially could happen. I, maybe not have a full deep understanding that he has of the technology. I would definitely give him
Yeah.
the hand in that part. But I understand history quite well, and I've noticed that the human experience has been able to adapt and transform. And every single time one of these great advancements takes place, it usually becomes for the better.
Yeah, and I think that's where the human. I mean, that's where the human piece really comes in, because I think the human. I mean, you're an entrepreneur. There's a good example of entrepreneurs create. They come up with ideas and create businesses or solutions to problems that other people didn't spot, right? And oftentimes, I mean, right now I don't see AI figuring that part out. So that creative part, I think, is going to allow people maybe to be able to realize their creativity in a much faster and more efficient way than before. But I don't think it's going to replace it. That's for sure. Not in the short to medium, anyway.
Yeah, I mean, I would definitely agree with that. I don't
Yeah.
again I may not have the grasp of technology and generative AI that some of these other top leading minds in the world
Mhm.
do. But I believe in people. I believe in humans, and I think that we've been able to leverage things quite well through the history of written history, and I think this is going to be another one.
Yeah. So
It's
what's your
things that we've ever experienced, though, in my belief. It's one of the top three for sure. Industrial age, this one, this is a big one, and it's happening faster than ever
oh
before. I think that's the unique thing about AI, is the speed of which transformation is taking place is going to lead a vast amount of people behind, because it is fast. It changes every day.
Yeah, it's amazing, because I mean, you mentioned the .com era earlier, and I actually, that's when I moved over from Ireland. I came to Silicon Valley in the mid '90s, and so I lived in the whole .com era, and yeah, that seemed to be a whirlwind and stuff overnight, and the collapse was even more dramatic, to be honest, at the
Yeah.
end. When you saw the .com signs going up and then all the .com signs coming down. So, and then we had the cloud, right? And the cloud was a kind of revolution, and that, but it still took some time. I mean, the AI one is unbelievably fast and getting faster. I mean, I know there was people were making an argument even like 3 weeks ago, right, about the cost factor, saying, well, it's if you want to get into your agents and everything, like the cost in the background and what you're going to have to pay to Amazon or Google or one of these other big ones, it's astronomical. And then DeepSeek comes out and suddenly says, well, no, actually not that expensive. And suddenly that argument's going away, regardless of what's going on behind the scenes. I don't care. But it's a great example of how fast things are moving, and how all of the arguments that people are putting up, which may have some legitimacy, how they're just being knocked down so quickly.
Yeah, I mean, with the chips, I always forget. There's a law that talks about how technology duplicates itself once
Yeah.
every so many years. I think it was 2 or 3, and I
Mhm.
shouldn't reference something that I don't know. But I think AI is going way faster than that. I don't believe cost is going to be a big issue. I mean, it already isn't.
Mhm.
See coming out, and before that, honestly, it was still extremely cheap compared to human
Yeah.
labor. It does a lot of tasks 10 times better than you can ever train a human,
Mhm.
and it does it more consistent.
Yeah.
But yeah,
So where do you see it going? I mean, where do you see, like, for instance, Sales Hub? I mean, where do you see yourselves taking this?
well, I mean, I've started several companies over the last 10 years. I've been fortunate enough to be successful more times than I failed when it comes to the war. I've failed in many, many battles along the way. Sometimes I felt like me losing the battle was going to be the end. But thankfully, I've been able to see it through. I honestly, my future personally is fully invested into taking full advantage of AI. I think first transforming Sales Hub. I have a transportation company in the Southwest. We're currently implementing AI to help our drivers with dispatch loads and all the other kind of things. And so that's where I see myself personally. I think the future of AI in general is going to go through a very similar cycle that the .com. Anything that rises fast usually crashes. But in the end, the true players are going to emerge, just like Amazon and many other players in the .com emerges. And I think that's why some of the reasons why these evaluations are crazy right now through PE and venture capital companies is because they're willing to risk so much money to hopefully find one that gets through.
Yeah.
And I think that the people that are truly thinking about the infrastructure, the things that are truly important to industry in general, i.e., data security, when it comes to that, when it comes to truly having a humanoid experience, latency, not just doing a quick prompt in OpenAI, truly building something that's unique to a certain niche. Those are the companies that will eventually rise to the top. Right now, it's kind of hard to see truly who's the right player and who's not, just because there's so much noise in the industry.
Yeah, and then there's and here's a question. Just so as this develops, and now we have companies who have like AI kind of avatar type people doing calling, and it's like trying to be real and all that kind of stuff. Do you think it matters? It matters whether you know or not that you're dealing with AI. Do you think that's an ethical thing, or do you think it really doesn't matter as long as you're getting what you need?
I personally actually think it is important, in my personal opinion. That's why we built out Jovi AI, humanoid, but not human.
Right.
When connecting with a human, and honestly, it's getting really freaking good, to be honest with you. Some of these avatars, like our avatars were cartoonish. Many reasons why we decided to do that. But in my personal opinion, understanding that you're speaking with a machine, not a human, it just helps with the feeling of long-term, maybe a bait and switch,
Yeah.
because let's say that if you present an AI really as a human, and then it makes one machine a mistake, the end user is going to feel weird, in my
Yeah.
opinion. That may
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
be, but I would feel that way, and like that bait and switch. So I want to make sure that we're presenting AI as AI from the beginning, but that's a great experience. You can still build a good experience without pretending something you're not. I've
Yeah.
always kind of gone by the guidelines of be open and honest and be who you are, and the people that are support that will come around you, and those that don't won't. And I think the similar concept should be in AI. That's my personal opinion. There's a lot of other people that want to be as human-like as possible. But again, the room for error when you're trying to be a human and you're not is zero. If you're trying to be a machine, but a great experience in the machine world, I think we will adapt and accept AI much quicker.
Yeah, no, I agree with you, and I think it is. I think if you're, I don't see any reason not to be transparent. If you're delivering a great experience and whatever, why shouldn't you know how it's being delivered? And I just think it's good practice to be transparent. And like I said, people won't care at the end of the day as long as they're having a good experience. They won't go, oh well, I'm not going to use this because it's AI. They'll be like, no, this is really good. I'm happy.
Yeah, I mean, I believe there will be a small niche group of people, but in reality, people want a good experience. How they get that, I don't think people are as important.
Yeah, yeah, and I guess the whole thing now with with intelligent agents now. I mean, I mean that's a whole fascinating world itself as they start to learn your behavior and learn about you and be able to devise a personalization at scale. Because I guess that's the thing that's been kind of the thing that's always been out of reach, is that idea of personalization at scale.
Personalization at scale is very important. Yeah, I mean, I think I was just going through a tech stack review this morning, and it is kind of interesting. If you build your core well, you can make it unique easily. That's what I was talking about. You and I were talking about data not that long ago. That's one of those core foundational concepts on how to build personalization. But if you don't have that part of the foundation laid correctly, building the beautiful things up top with the personalization is going to be almost impossible, because you're going to be focused on building everything those things so unique.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think, and I think that's a fundamental point. It's like if you're building, say the whatever that big tower was in Abu Dhabi or Dubai, wherever it is it's not very, the interesting part isn't digging the foundations and laying the foundations. That's not the part that people are very interested in looking at. It's not very. but it's the part that makes all the difference. Because if if you decide, oh, I'm going to shortcut on that, I'm going to try and get out and put up something flashy. Yeah, well, it'll be flashy, all right, for as long as it stays up, which won't be that long. So again, I think there is a temptation to try and shortcut, and I think that's going to undermine some people if they don't do what you're talking about there and really focus on the fundamentals and the data and the infrastructure and the setup.
100%. And it's easier today to fake it till you make it, or you just fake it. It's like I was saying, some cool prompts with a cool interface. You got yourself a little company, right? Up and found out. So, but I definitely would agree with you. It's not necessarily the flashy part of the business, but it's the most critical. And that's what will make you rise and actually sustain over the next 18 to 24 months when everybody else is starting to be find out. And when the rubber hits the road, those are the companies that are going to be really truly important.
Exactly.
And that's what with Jovi AI is that we've been super focused, because we weren't necessarily we were concerned with speed of market, but that wasn't our ultimate goal, is to be the first in. Our ultimate was to be the best fit for enterprise clients. We knew who we were trying to go for. We were looking for people spending 20,000 plus a month in their contact center solutions. We were looking for this sort of customer client based verticals, and we built for the long term. Thinking, in my opinion, thinking of the most foundational aspects first.
I think that's exactly the smart way to build a business, and especially build a technology business. So listen, Titus, this has been fantastic. All of Titus's information will be below this video. Before we go, please do tell people a little bit more about you and Sales Hub.
Yeah, I mean, I started knocking doors when I was 19. That's kind of where I got my start in sales. I needed to get a job to help my mom pay for rent. She asked me, so I was like, all right, after I was playing football, I knocked doors on the weekends. I knocked doors. I discovered that I was pretty good at it. At the time was going to school for civil engineering, and I realized I really love talking to people, and I was decent in sales. So I started to pursue a career there. One thing led to another. I ended up being a VP of sales over at a fairly large agency out of Dallas. And then I ended up deciding to do my own thing in 2016. I always had a dream to be a business owner. Even as early as 5 years old, I remember drawing out plans for a car wash, even though we lived 10 miles down a dirt road. So maybe not the best idea, but I wanted to do something more. And in 2016, I just kind of made it happen. It was a crazy journey. I started out selling computers back to China. We would do hospital tear outs for old technology that they were doing upgrades. We would recycle their technology back to China. So that was my start. And then I ended up getting back into more, business to customer sales, specifically in the telecom industry in 2018. And been there ever since.
Fantastic. Well, like I said, all of his information, all of Titus' information on Sales Hub will be below this, so I encourage you to go check it out. Listen, thank you for this, Titus. Great insights. Thank you for watching and listening. We'll see you all again very soon.